as we know, there are two ways of paying attention to. So that's called a focus attention. So the first way is developing this focus attention by adopting one object and be with that object. So discarding any distractions, not allowing anything to distract, ability to focus on the object. And that is one task that seems easy but difficult. Focusing on one object seems easy but very difficult. It requires our perception, perceiving that this is what I want to do. It's called a sanya. Consciously you are aware that this is the object that I should develop my focus on. While paying attention to that object, then whatever other things arises, then just discarding them, not paying any attention to that at all. And that's the one way of doing it. When we do that one, again, we got to be very careful of physical and verbal actions as well. Whatever we have done physically, whatever we have said something to somebody before the practice, then that will straight away come and disturb. In the meantime, we have to have a faith and a confidence that this is the one that I want to do. And it seems like those confirmation that they have said that will come, they lose that faith. So as a result, they were distracted, so that they cannot focus on the task that they were thinking of doing it. So that is the first one. The second one, it's not just a focus, but ability to understand that focus. So here it is more of a wisdom part. Right? It seems again easy. This one is more harder because we haven't got any perception of this is the one that I am doing. This is the one that I should be paying attention to. It is more of a open space, and you are paying attention to it. So it's like this moment you have this focus attention as not a fixed one, but as just something that you are given as just to come back as a refuge only, but not settling in there at all. So it is something that requires wisdom a lot. So here focus is not the main, but it's about knowing that object is the task. So that's a vipassana, right? Insight meditation. So it's like suppose you're making you're working with wood and you are nailing it down. So just having a nail and you have a good focus where you want to put it, but without hammering it, this nail will not go in. Right? So the first one is like you are having just a nail and you know that this nail works. But the second one is knowing where to hit, how to hit, in which way. Right? So that is the second one. So it comes a wisdom part, and here this has a three factors. So one, it's called knowing, yata parinya, knowing. So wisdom of knowing the object that you are paying attention to. Okay? Suppose in a Satipatthana practice, we pay attention to, suppose take one object, the breath. while we pay the while we are paying attention to the breath, at that time, breath is not the something that we always be with it. It is just you are on that standing, but whatever you're hearing, whatever you're thinking, whatever your other things arises, you become mindful of that. So in that moment, what happened that you have left the breath, but you're working with the object that just came. It's called a visiting object or the secondary object. So you're paying attention to that. So that in this moment you know this. So you know that this object that I was paying attention to, this is my focus attention, and now something has arose. Now I am paying attention to the new one which is there, but you have lost the one that you already had. So that's the knowing part. Knowing that this is happening. And then the second part is the tirana. It's called a tirana parinya. Tirana parinya means knowing that when I pay attention to the new object, the first object fading away, and then the second object is getting more stronger, prominent. It's become more visible. Such as when we are paying attention to the breath in tonight case, we hear the sound. When we hear the sound, so in that case, this breath is fading away. The intensity of the breath, being aware of this breath, decreasing. The intensity of the sound, the knowing of the sound is increasing. So that's the moment. And then the third knowledge is the called pahana parinya. That means you have completely left the breath, but you are now with a new new object. That is the sound that you heard, and you're simply knowing that sound here. And when you know this sound and you have completely known at that moment, is you are able to understand this new object now. You're no more with the previous one anymore. The breath has been gone. So see the difference. The first practice that I said, developing the focus attention, you simply be with the breath only. But here, breath is just the foundation. You're standing on. And whatever other things arises, and then you are going to know this one, living that one. And again, we are not staying this with all the time. We are not fixed with it. This is again just a temporarily. And after we have known this second object, again this second object will naturally changes. It has to change, and it won't last long. And in that moment, when this beginning to fade, so it's called a tirana, beginning to fade, that beginning of, as it started to beginning, something bubbles in the background, in our mind. The consciousness beginning to think, where should I go? Which object should I go to? And in that case, that is the reason why we make a familiar with the primary object, so that we will not running trying to find the object. So as it fades, because we've been familiar with the object, the primary object that we are working, as it beginning to fade, somehow consciously that will become a more going into that the primary object, the breath, that if you are working with the breath, it becomes more visible. So here again, you know here, and then it fades away, and then during this fading, it becomes a little visible. And it becomes a prominent, and this fades away. It's gone now. See? And now your consciousness is established on the breath now. So like that. So same process will repeatedly happening all the time. And this repeatedly happening, and you become aware of this continuous happening, and this is the focus attention you are having. That in that focus attention, what's happening is you are gaining so-called the Khanika Samadhi. It's a momentary concentration. So each moment you are concentrate, aware, Khanika Samadhi, moment by moment, not losing. It's continue, and you are not losing any of this. Okay? And in the meantime, the wisdom is always there to see, oh, this is arising, this is remaining for this, and this is going away. See, anicca. Yeah? Anicca, dukkha, and anatta comes in that case. So it develops there. So gradually as it develops from this Khanika Samadhi, that Khanika Samadhi again gradually gives us a wisdom. That's why it's called a parinya, which means a panya. Yeah? And that panya eventually becomes so stronger that that panya eventually becomes a jnana, that you have understood or realized, and that realization is the key in the practice of the vipassana practice. And with that, what happens is that you will be able to let it be. So that's why the Khanika Samadhi, or the momentary concentration, becomes the Khanika wisdom, and then this Khanika wisdom becomes the stabilized jnana, the greater understanding of that. So that's why, since we are here in the focus, developing the focus attention and the wisdom, so I want you to pick up one object which is that you feel comfortable with, and try to work with that. If not the second one, at least first one. Consciously having this perception that this is the one object that I am going to work with, and working with that, so that eventually the mind becomes familiar with it, and then as it's stabilized and settled, then we can develop further to the Khanika Samadhis, and eventually developing the wisdom until the jnana, so that we can let it be. Okay? So with this, let's practice meditation. So spend some time reflecting yourself, knowing as you're sitting here and now. Motivating yourself to meditate. And spend some time working with the primary object, whether the breath in your nostrils or in your belly. You may regulate to settle the mind down if you feel that your mind is not active, alert, feeling drowsy or sluggish. So actively engaging. So you may develop the focus attention with the help of the primary object, the breath or the abdomen rising, falling.